everyone, this is Josh coming to you live from the RPM shop. Want to keep our tutorials going on the Nitro and how to work on these things. I know we've got a lot of questions. There's quite a few of them that are hitting the market now, and guys are wanting to tweak and change different things. But what we want to cover today is how to replace the saddle cables, this front set of cables. If you happen to break one, or you just want to change the color of it, or what have you. But we want to go ahead and cover how to take this saddle cable off, remove it, and then obviously reinstall it. When you do this, you want to make sure that you do both sides, but you want to do one side at a time. Again, these cables, over time they're going to stretch, they're going to fatigue, and so when you do replace one, you really should replace both of them. You can pick them up on the website rpmbowfishing.com. That being said, just like with most things, the way that we're going to start this project is you're going to loosen up this timing screw here. It's the screw on the outside of the top cam. So what we're going to do is we're going to back this sucker off just a little bit. Then you're going to go ahead and take some of the poundage off of the limbs. It just makes it a lot easier to work. And so what we're going to do is we'll take our Allen wrench. We're going to back this limb bolt out. So the limb pocket, again, is touching the riser about like this, so you can see that there's a pretty big gap here. So at that juncture, as long as you've done it to both sides, the string's going to be pretty loose, and then what you can do is you can set it down on the floor. If you have a helper, they can help you get the string up, but you're just going to push down, open this, or apply some pressure to these string limbs, and then the string will go limp. You can go ahead and take it off, set it off to the side. Then what you're going to want to do is, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take off the cam cable, which is this back cable. So this thing, you're going to rotate the cams up, you're going to pull these crimps out of the actual cams themselves, and then you're going to set this off to the side. It's not a bad idea when you're replacing the saddle cables up here on the front to replace the cam cables. They're not that expensive, and they do fatigue over time. So, I mean, if you wanted to swap it out, it's easy to do at this particular juncture. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to rotate these cams back, and then we're going to pop this cable up and then take this crimp out. Same thing here, we're going to rotate this cable up and then the crimp will come out. At this point, you can go ahead and pull the energy limb right out of the limb pocket, and the bow will stay upright like this. And then we can just go ahead and set the bow over here, or the actual riser off to the side, and then what we're going to do is there's an 1/8 inch Allen screw up here on the top. And then there's also, on the bottom of it, there's a nut. And so you're going to want to put your finger on that nut, put your 1/8 inch Allen wrench into this bolt, and then back this sucker off like this. Once it unthreads, this nut will fall out. Set it off to the side. Your saddle will come out. Set your limb down. And so now what you've got is you've got your saddle, you've got the saddle cable, and then there's a little washer on the inside. Set that off to the side. Grab yourself your new saddle cable. We're just obviously going to reinstall the same one that we had in it because it's brand new. And then you're going to try and find center in between this crimp and this crimp. So you're going to come up here, and you want it roughly centered. And we're going to do some fine-tuning adjustment to that as we reinstall. But find roughly center, and then get it to set back inside that saddle. Then we're going to put the washer back on. We're going to grab the little bolt and we're going to slide it back through, and then you're going to reinstall it so that the point of the saddle goes up the limb like this, and then you're going to take this nut, and the way that I like to do it is just take it from the back side and just get it started. You can spin it a few times like this, just to get things started. All I did was just spin this back nut, just again to get it started. So now it's back on here. It's still loose, which is exactly the way you want it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab the riser in the limb pocket. We're going to drag it back over, get this sucker to set back in place. And we're going to take the energy limb. We're going to slide it back down inside the limb pocket like this. Then we're going to put the first crimp, saddle cable crimp in, and we're going to rotate this up. This one's always the toughest one. So then we rotate that cable around, again, put the crimp inside the cam, rotate this sucker around like this, and then what I like to do is put a little bit of pressure onto this limb bolt It just helps hold everything together. So you can rotate this thing down a couple revolutions so that it looks something like this, and it just helps you, work on these things a little bit easier. And you're going to grab your cam cable, start with one crimp in one side, go ahead and put the crimp in the other side, like this, and then we're going to come up over the top. Then what we're going to do is we're going to repeat this onto the other side, and then once we feel like everything's pretty well dialed in, again, remember that these saddle screws here are still loose. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and string this back up. So you put your string on the bottom limb. We're going to apply some pressure. It helps if you stand up and get your feet under you. Apply some pressure. Get this to come back up. Now we're at this particular point, everything's put back together, but we still have to tighten this up. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this string limb is perpendicular to the energy limb, so everything is straight. And if you do get this out of alignment, if you're bouncing around in the boat or what have you, and you do get a string that's popping on this energy limb, most likely the string limb is out of sorts. So what you're going to want to do is loosen up this saddle screw here. Make sure that you tweak it so that it's straight, so that when you look down it, you're looking straight and everything's in line. Once these two cables are the same length, the string limb is in line with the energy limb, then you can go ahead and tighten this up. So then you're going to put your finger on the back side, 1/8 inch Allen wrench here. You're going to give it a couple twists, tighten that down. Once that's tightened down, you obviously do it to the other side, make sure that everything's good and tight. Apply the right amount of pressure on these energy limbs with your limb bolts, and then check it for tiller. Make sure that everything's good to go, and that's about as simple as it gets. If you have any other questions, make sure you look at all of our other tutorials that we've got on the website, and hope to see you out on the water here soon.